Tammy with Fun Art Class and Fun Art at Home, and we're going to paint this beautiful design by Paint Party Hub on Facebook. You should check it out. We are going to get started. I am mixing phthalo blue and phthalo green here to make a really deep blue-green color. I will note that I did go back over this at the end and add some purple, but you can do this blue-green color and then add your pink or purple back on top. I am using, you saw me do a little dribble of water in there because I do want there to be a little bit of transparency just so I can see where my lines are. But I've added just white. And as we transition down, I'm just going to continue to add white. And you'll see that I kind of strategically squirt my paint in a long line in the middle of my plate. So as I use my white, I'm not messing it up. It's just a little strategy that I've employed over my years of teaching painting parties. So yeah, when you get your edge of your canvas, just kind of blot along the sides and it makes a nice look so you can just hang your painting directly on the wall. And I'm just continuing to add white. Now you're going to notice that when you add white, white is it is the best color to actually cover up things, so you may lose sight of your sketched lines. But I was able to see them enough that I could tell where the image was supposed to go. And we're just continuing to add more and more white to our brush as we work our way down. I do, you'll note that I kind of whisk over the edges of the moon because when you are using a tracer, it's really important that you go all the way over the edges. That way when you paint the moon back on, you're bringing the moon back to the front. You don't want to leave a gap between your moon and your sky because then you're going to have a really inauthentic look. You'll have a little dead space around your moon. And when you're doing a blended background like this, it is a little bit more difficult to match that color up if you decide later that you want to... oh, see there? How I kind of messed up a little bit. And I just licked my finger and just rubbed it out. Little tip. So we're going all the way down to our water line. I've decided that I wanted to darken the sky a little bit because it looks a little bit more like day than moonlight. So I darkened it up a little bit. I am using my large flat brush. And you can just continue to go back and forth and get your color the way you want it. Oh, I've dipped in some pink. It looks like I'm having a little conversation here. I am, and I'm talking to my daughter. Like, which way should I do it? So here we go. Adding in some pink right there onto the blue because it's wet, the blue and white. And I'm just going to streak it right in. Because this is a sunset, night sky, whatever you want to... You guys, I don't know. I just love to paint beautiful skies. I gave it up a long time ago trying to make it correct or make it... This is a painting. It's not a photo. It's okay. So we're going to blend that right in to the sky. And you can see how that pink is mixed a little with the blue, making it purple. And you'll notice that whenever you do add color to a wet background like this, it's going to blend right in the more you stroke on it. So if you want there to be some bright streaks, then you're going to want to load that brush and just do 1 or 2 streaks across. So now I've added a little purple to the bottom, just working with that color, getting it the way I want. But when you have wet paint, this is when it's fun to play with your colors. So it looks like I like it the way it is. I loaded my brush with lots of good paint, one nice smooth stroke across, and you're gonna get enough paint on your brush so it can bead out the top. And when you get that little bead of paint that squeezes out the top of your brush, then you've made that nice crisp background, or I mean nice crisp line, and it will give you a clean edge. So then I just dipped right in the white, and we're gonna keep on going. I'm mixing or cleaning my brush off because I want to smooth that out just a little bit more. Bumping my color around the edges. Now I worked with this horizon line a lot more than I normally do. Okay, I normally like fix it and forget it, but I don't know. I was working on that one just a little bit more than normal. But you do have to be careful because the more you stroke it, the bigger it gets, or the more it spreads, or the more mistakes you can make. So once you have it and it's decent, leave it alone. So I'm just now dipping in my pink and my purple, and I've adjusted the I think I was going to hang my canvas on the ears of my easel, but I decided not to because I knew I had this cropped in tight. And I don't usually clean my brush whenever I'm transitioning in water to another color, but I must have had a lot of paint on there. And I remember that I did, so that's probably why. So I'm going to be honest with you. It looks to me like the reflection in my sky and my water is a little bit backwards. So that's why later I went back in and I added some pink streaks up top on my final piece, just to give that idea that there was more pink and purple in the sky above where we can see, and that's where these reflections in the water are coming from. I'm pretty sure Delicia's design had a little bit of ground in here. Look at there. I'm just quickly whisking by and adding some more bright color. I know she had a little bit of beach, but I'm always, when I look at a design, I teach painting classes, so I'm always looking for the way that I can make it easier for my guests to get a really pretty result that they're proud of. And so sometimes I take some of the little details out and here I am back at that horizon. I know why. It's a little bit lighter than I wanted it. I wanted that to be dark because it's back far away. So I'm just darkening it a little bit with my medium round brush, or a medium flat, whichever your medium sized brush is that you have. And then I'm just kind of wiping off the sides. I must have got a little goopy with my paint on the sides. Okay, so now we're going to do the moon, and I'm using you can use pretty much any brush that you have, but when you want to get that nice crisp edge, I'm getting a lot of white paint on there, and then I'm slowly approaching that edge, and then I'm going to push down where the paint squeezes out the side, and it gives me this bead of paint. And that bead of paint is what makes me look like I'm a good artist, is my ability to get that nice crisp edge. And really, a lot of people who are OCD or perfectionists in nature will want to do this in a sketchy way. Ah, did you see that? My bead got a little too thick, so I just placed my finger outside of my design or whatever it is I'm painting, and then I just swiped in quickly with very light pressure, and it took it away. Now, this is definitely where you have to be careful, because the more you stroke on it, the bigger it gets, okay? So it's not going to be perfect because you are not the creator that hung the moon, okay? It's okay that it's not perfect, but just keep in mind that the more you stroke on it, the bigger it's going to get. And see how I wiped in? So a clean finger, go outside of the moon, and then just wipe in. And then it'll take some of the paint off of the inside, which is fine because we can add it back. But that's how you make those corrections. So that was my family wanting to see. I paint right in the living room, you guys, because I don't like to be, I don't know, by myself in a studio. I have space for a studio, but so here we have our really, do you see how I'm whisking? I'm moving my wrist back and forth in a rounded motion. And when I do that, it misses most of the time, but it'll just make contact right in the center. And so I'm doing that with very light pressure, and I'm just whisking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with my wrist. And that will be our moon ray in the bay. Okay, so now we're going with fresh black. And I did it right there in the blue because I'm not going to be mad if I get some of my blue in with the black, so it just doesn't look like a flat black. In fact, a lot of times I like to mix just a little bit of a color in with the black so it just doesn't look so flat. I really love this design. Delicia did a great job, yes? I have in my gallery over 300, maybe close to 400 paintings. But you know, after a while I get a little tired. So what I'm doing is just looking for my line, and then I'm just going to own it and make one light pressure. Now I'm pushing harder, 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 and my brush spreads out as the further I go down, and it gets bigger. And then as I run out, I get fresh paint because again, I want that crisp edge. I want that bead of paint to squeeze out on both sides of my brush. And then I'm going to identify where my lines are. Now, if you can't see them, then you can look back at your tracer. And you can just look at, and maybe you want to move your tree. You can do that too, okay? This is Delicia's design, and I'm teaching you how to paint it, but it's your painting, so you get to do what you want. So then I'm adding these lines that are going to become our palm tree. And to be honest with you, later I went back to mine and I made them longer. It's really normal to not, like, you know, at first we don't want to make them quite as long. But I'm looking for that line and I'm going to follow it down. And I let the background dry. So I dragged my pinky along to help steady my hand a lot. So I've cleaned off the brush, got it back to really clean and really dipped in. And then now I'm just going to steadily, see how I'm holding my hand steady with my pinky. Do you see that? And I'm just going to drag down, getting that bead of paint that squeezes out the side of my brush. I think I'm funny. Sometimes I call it a shart. It's that little bead that squeezes out the side of your brush. And that a lot of people think is an error, but it actually is your friend when you're painting. So I'm going to go ahead and add my palm, like branches. We'll add the fronds to them later. I know I end up going right over into that moon. I'm being very like short and conservative with it. And it's okay to do that because it's easier. Like, you can always make something bigger, but it is a lot harder. Now watch. This is touch and pull. So I'm going to touch the tip of my brush and pull with my fingers, not using my wrist. If you watch, my wrist is not bending. It's just my fingers. And whenever I touch and then pull down with my fingers, the brush will go in a rounded motion. So it automatically makes the end of that line smaller and pointy, which is what a palm frond looks like. It's what a Christmas tree looks like. It's what grass looks like. It's what all kinds of things. So we're going to reload the brush. Touch and pull, touch and pull. I also call it flicking. And I'll end up flicking right in front of the moon here. Later, I'll go back and add it and make it even longer. But I can only touch and pull well down. So you're going to see me turning my painting in circles because I don't touch and pull well from the side. I have to get my wrist involved. So you'll notice I'm only using my fingers And I'm getting fresh paint about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, fresh paint. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, fresh paint. I'm dipping very frequently, and the paint has to be fresh when you do this. If you're trying to use old paint that you squirted when you first started or whatever, it's not going to get you the best result. Or you can even add just a bit of water to your paint so it has a little bit more of an ink consistency. And then that will get you really nice, pointy palm fronds. So we're just going to keep carrying on here. And you notice it's about 1, 2, 3. And then I re-dip and I get fresh paint. So don't forget to get fresh paint. If you're not using fresh paint, you're not going to get a nice crisp tip to the end of your palm frond. I do see some of my friends that paint with me, and sometimes I think they think that paint will multiply itself, and it does not do that. You have to get fresh paint. And like when I looked at this, I thought, you know, these are a little bit short. Then I'm looking at it, and now I'm going to add another branch here. You get to do that. It's your treat. In fact, I think there was one there, but I really covered them up when I did the sky. So I was kind of looking back at Delicia's example, her tracer. And on this one down here, I've got one really low hanging one and a bunch of short ones. So I'll go through, and what's really cool, there we go, we're going to go. My little puppy, you guys, just bit my microphone. We're going to go over into the moon. We're just going to make these a little bit bigger. Oh, now we're going to use the same procedure to add grass. Now, putting some, and it's pretty much the same line that you use to make the palm fronds. So here I just added a couple of lines, and I'm going to go ahead and make those little, I don't know what that beach grass is. Is it pampas grass or whatever? I don't know. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not even sure that this was the same kind of grass that she had in her design, but it is kind of a signature for me. And now I'm just making little lines. They don't necessarily match up, but I'm just making little lines along the bottom just to make it look like, you know, I carried that image around the edge when I hang this directly on the wall. I really encourage you to carry your art around the sides of the canvas. It makes it nice. What are we going to do next? I can't remember. Oh, I'm going to sign it. So I'm going to sign it here. I have been, since the 3rd grade, signing my artwork with my initials. TLC is what they were. But then when I got married, it became TLH. So I always put my initials in paint. And then I also encourage you, I know that I do as well, I sign my paintings with a Sharpie, but you want to let it dry. I did pause this, and oh, here I am drying it just a little bit more. Hair dryers are handy to have around when you're painting. So I'm going to dry it because you never want to use your Sharpie in wet paint. My standard, always have a dryer. And so I'm going to sign it right along the trunk of the tree. It looks like I did get the tip of my Sharpie and a little bit of paint there somewhere. But thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. So good job. You are done. You have signed it. We can go back in with a little paint marker and add some stars in the water and in the sky. You can also take this time to make some changes to the sky a little bit. I know I went back in, you'll see here in a second, by my final artwork that I actually added some purple to the very top of the sky, so it would match up with the reflection in the water. So congratulations. I hope you had a fun art class with me today. I'm really happy with this. It's very fun. And so make sure that you use this QR code to jump in, share your photos. Like and follow us on Facebook at Fun Art Class. And on Instagram, Fun Art at Home. Share your painting and tag us. And with that, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope You had a good time, and we'll paint with you next time.